Okay, so now we're going to continue on with probably our last blood vessel video, and it's going to be the venous blood flow of the abdomen and pelvis. So recalling the pathway of venous blood is going towards the heart. That means we're going to be starting distal and working proximal if we were in the lower extremities, or in the torso starting inferior and working in a superior direction. So in the lower extremities, right next to the femoral arteries, you are going to have femoral veins. As soon as that blood vessel crosses the inguinal ligament, it's considered to be in the pelvis and will have a name change to the external iliac vein. Just like on the arterial side, we are going to have an internal iliac vein. And can you figure out the name of the blood vessels that the external and internal iliac veins are going to merge to form? If you can predict this. That's right, the common iliac vein. And now the right common iliac vein will join up with the left common iliac vein, and that will become the origin of the inferior vena cava. And so the inferior vena cava is going to travel from that location all the way up through the abdomen, through its opening in the diaphragm, and then jump into the heart. However, what we haven't talked about is the blood vessels that are draining all the organs in the abdomen and pelvis. So from the kidneys, we are going to have a right and a left renal vein. Now, if you look on any of these three pictures, like for instance, let's start with the cadaver picture, notice that the inferior vena cava is always to the right of the abdominal aorta. The abdominal aorta is exactly in the midline. It's just anterior to the bodies of the vertebrae. So to the right side is where the inferior vena cava is, which means organs on the left somehow have to figure out how they're going to get their blood over to the right side. And in fact, there is only one blood vessel that crosses anterior to the abdominal aorta, and that is the left renal vein. And so the right and left renal veins will then dump into the inferior vena cava. Then let's talk about the gonadal veins. So they'll be called testicular veins or ovarian veins. On the right side, and remember the arteries went like an upside down V. So on the right side, we still have the upside down half of a V, and you clearly can see that that right gonadal vein is draining into the inferior vena cava. But look what's happening on the left side. The left gonadal vein, the left gonadal vein is not crossing in front of the aorta. As I said, there's only one blood vessel that crosses anterior to the aorta, and that's the left renal vein. So what has to happen is the left gonadal vein actually drains into the left renal vein, and then the left renal vein drains into the inferior vena cava. Okay, so now I think you've got it. And so if you do have it, you should be thinking, well, where are all the blood vessels from the GI tract going to be draining if they're not crossing in front of the aorta? Do you see anything going on there that looks like it's draining the GI tract? There's no extra blue things, are there? That's because they do not drain into the inferior vena cava. So we have the inferior vena cava, which is draining from the lower extremities, it's draining from the kidneys, and it's draining from the gonads. But it's not draining from the GI tract, and here is why. Where is all that blood in the inferior vena cava going to go next? What organ does it hit next? It hits the heart. So think for a second, if you by chance, or someone you know, or somebody you don't even know, consume something that had a poison, a toxin in it, and then that toxin got absorbed and it's in the venous blood draining the digestive system, would you want the next organ that toxin went to be your heart? And then to go all over your body? I don't think so. So we have what's called a portal system. So a portal system is where venous blood, instead of going to the heart for the next organ, venous blood will travel to a different organ first. And the portal system, and there's two well-recognized ones, but one has to do with the endocrine system, and this isn't the endocrine system. So the one that we're talking about has to do with blood draining the digestive system, and it is called the hepatic portal system. And the reason why it's called the hepatic portal system is because all of that blood is going to be sent to the liver, hepatic, first, where it can be detoxified, and then it can travel in a vein from the liver to the inferior vena cava once it's cleaned blood. So let me give you an overview picture first and give you the names of the blood vessels, and then we'll go through them one at a time so you can see where they are. So basically, there are 4 veins involved. If you recall, I said the inferior mesenteric artery gives blood to the left side of the colon. So it makes sense that the left side of the colon blood is going to be draining into the inferior mesenteric vein. And I said the superior mesenteric artery sent blood to the right side of the colon, demonstrated here, as well as all of the small intestine. So all of the small intestine, as well as the right side of the colon, is going to be drained into the superior mesenteric vein. So those are the origins of those 2 veins. So what happens to them? Well, from the spleen, we had a splenic artery taking blood in. Remember, that was that left-sided branch of the celiac trunk. So we're going to have a splenic vein coming out of the spleen. And what happens is the inferior mesenteric vein, if you follow it upward, drains into the splenic vein. And then the splenic vein crosses over the midline to the right side of the abdomen, and it is going to join up right here with the superior mesenteric vein, and they are going to form one quite large vein, about this big, called the hepatic portal vein. And that is going to drain blood into the liver. So the liver not only gets oxygenated blood from a branch of the common hepatic artery, but also gets venous blood from the hepatic portal system. And in fact, 80% of the blood to the liver comes from this hepatic portal vein. All right, so let's look at this step by step to see what these blood vessels look like. On the right side of the colon, anything that's a vein is part of the inferior mesenteric vein. So it's coming up, sorry, on the left side is inferior mesenteric vein. So it's coming up on the left side. This is a posterior view. This is an anterior view. You can tell that the spleen, which is on the left side on both. So that's the superior mesenteric vein. Inferior mesenteric vein. Inferior mesenteric vein drains into the splenic vein. So whereas the splenic artery sat on top of the pancreas, the splenic vein sits behind the pancreas because that is a great location for the inferior mesenteric vein to merge with it. Then the splenic vein continues medially until it is joined by the superior mesenteric vein. And then those 2 together will form the hepatic portal vein. Okay. So in this model in the middle, you notice that there's red blood vessels, blue blood vessels, and lilac, lavender, purple, mauve, whatever name you want to use for the purple ones. Okay. So a lot of models will do that, and the purple ones all have to do with those veins of the hepatic portal system. So now that you understand it, here is that same picture unlabeled. When you're looking for the hepatic portal system, you're always looking for something that is H-shaped or kind of chair-shaped, where the 2 legs of the chair are going to be the superior mesenteric vein and the inferior mesenteric vein. The seat of the chair is the splenic vein, and then the back of the chair is the hepatic portal vein going into the liver. So I like this picture because it shows all this blood is going into the liver. These veins are going to break down smaller and smaller and smaller. The blood is going to be cleansed, and then we are going to have veins that leave the liver. And the veins that leave the liver are always going to be blue because they're not part of the hepatic portal system. This is the clean blood. So these are the hepatic veins, and then they will drain directly back into the inferior vena cava to dump into the heart. And with that, we are done. So thank you for your hard work, and I will see you for the next organ system.